I'm Fred Ruiz with Tactical Hyve, and today I want to talk about my battle belt setup. So I'm not particular to any specific brand per se, but I just want to go over what I've been using for the last couple years. So to start, I'm using a Ronin Tactics belt. This is one of the originals. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably about 6-7 years old now. I don't know if it's original, but it is pretty old. It's got some miles on it. Okay, the holster setup I'm running here is a Safariland ALS. This one is the Kydex model for a Glock 19. I'll show you here the bracket. It's got a little dust on it from usage, but I'm using the mid-drop belt loop, and I've got a little modified bracket here on the back because they are designed for a more of a duty belt setup for like a 2-inch belt or something like that. So I just put a little piece of plastic here to kind of keep it from wobbling too much. Running the QLS setup here on the bracket itself because I do like to interchange with different holster setups, gun setups, things like that, and I can run the same belt with multiple setups. On the holster side, I've got the QLS, the forks, so that interchange with the QLS, the receiver plate. So again, basically all my holsters are going to have one of these forks on them, and I can interchange them through other belts as well. So I'm not necessarily stuck to this belt or to this gun or holster. All right. Now I am running a polymer 80 frame here on my Glock 19 variant. So there was a little bit of modification that I had to do on this particular model holster. This is the Kydex one. It's not their 7T series, which is injection molded plastic. This is their Kydex one, so I did have to heat it up a little bit to fit my polymer 80. The other modification that I like, and any ALS holster that I'm running, I run these finger tabs right here. It increases the profile of the thumb release on the ALS. This is by a company called OT Defense. I think it's called the Nub, right, from OT Defense. Game changer right here. If you guys know about the ALS and that little tiny thumb release, this changes everything. You get a little bit faster of a draw. All right, so that's my setup there. All right, so another example of interchanging with the different setups. So here I have a Safariland 7T series. I've got an X300 on a Glock 34 setup here. And again, same thing. I have the fork on the back. So I can go ahead and slide that bad boy right in. And now I can switch my belt to run a Glock 34. And then if my mags are not for full size, I can go ahead and switch those out too. And that would be the same setup. Now with this one in particular, I don't use this one very often. I'm just using it for an example. However, if we look at the different nubs, right? The thumb releases right here, this is the standard ALS, and then this is what it looks like with the actual OT Defense nub. So huge difference. Here's a front profile there. Perfect. All right, moving on to the next pouch in the line here is just a tourniquet pouch. I think I got this one from Ronin Tactics maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. It's just a standard pouch. Inside I have a soft tee from TacMed Solutions. So that's pretty much it there. Nothing special there. This patch actually has a funny story. So I was teaching some of the boys, some soft guys, and we were going over some footwork drills. And it's funny how sometimes you get a little awkward with your footwork when you're trying to shoot and do some foot movement at the same time. So I kind of started getting onto him a little bit, and I said, hey, you guys know that stupid ass patch that you guys wear? It says be athletic, just do that. So the next day they actually presented me with one, and because I was being a smart ass. So there we go. So that's why I have one of these on here. I thought it was a funny story. So I hold on to it, and the guys give me a hard time about it all the time. So it's all good. Okay, the next pouch along the belt is this medpack or IFAC. This one is from HTC, High Threat Concealment. It's a little bit older design. I think they've adjusted their models. I'm not sure. This is a removable pack, and I'll show that here in a second. There is a, some Velcro on the outside. I just got this cool guy, team guy patch. And then there is some Velcro here for a tourniquet that I can have up here. I choose not to utilize that. I don't really like my tourniquet fully exposed. That's why I use this pouch here on the side. Another thing I do is just take a pair of shears and I shove it down in there. There's a small rubber band that's just kind of holding it. So if I really did need these shears, I can just rip this thing out, pop the rubber band, and I can use it. It's replaceable, so no big deal. Now with this kit itself, I know there's a lot of different models out there for med kits, and they're all removable. But again, this is just the model that I ended up choosing and I went with. But there is a plate here that the pouch actually mollies into, and the molly is actually released by this pull tab. So I can just reach back behind me and pull this tab. Now, one thing I kind of want to show here is that I actually shortened the pull tab itself, or the handle, right? It actually did stick out to somewhere around here. I wasn't a big fan of that. I wanted it to be lower so it didn't dig into my back. So I actually just took the Kydex and just cut it, and then just drilled 2 more holes and just changed the height of the handle itself. So now fully seated, you can see it sits lower than all my other gear. But if I did anything where I was kind of bending over or bending backwards, this handle was in my back. So if all I have to do is reach back, pull this tab out, and my whole kit comes along with it. Now I can work from there. Now putting the pack back is a little bit of a challenge, but that's the trade-off with such a simple release. Okay. All right, right here you can actually see that molly plate that I was talking about, and again that molly's right in. It's not an easy, I do have to take the belt off to get this thing back on, but again, that's the trade-off for such a quick release, I guess. Okay, moving on to my actual mag carriers or my mag pouches. In this case, I am using S-Tac. These are the Kiwi pouches from S-Tac. These are absolutely my 100% favorite pouches. I've tried other ones. There's always something about the other ones that I don't like. Personally, I don't like bungee retention. I live in desert conditions, and they only last about a year, and I have to replace all the bungee anyways. So I'm not a big fan of that. I like this design a little better. It's a lot cleaner. There isn't a bunch of bungees that can snag on stuff. They don't dry rot, things like that. The way these work is there's actually some Kydex retention in there, and they're Velcroed in here. Okay. I'll show you how to change these out. Okay. So this is the Kydex that holds your magazine in. If you see it, it's like this reverse wedge design type deal. So when you stick the magazine in there, and you kind of have to imagine that it's actually cinched down inside the pouch, right? That wedge creates this pressure point right here in the center, and increases the friction on the mag to keep it from pulling out. So it does have a nice positive retention as you pull it out, and you can tell, you can kind of hear that as I do that. Okay, put these back in and just slide them back in. All right, just keep my fingers behind the Kydex until I'm ready for it to cinch down, center it up, and it's good to go. That's it. Now, the one challenge I do have with this pouch in particular is, yes, I do live in a pretty hot climate during the summer. So if I do leave these in the sun or in a hot car or something like that, the Kydex does start to lose retention. Very simple fix. I just heat it up with a hair dryer or a heat gun, and put a little bit more bend into it and throw it back in there. It's fine. Had to do that a couple times. it is what it is. But I'd rather deal with that than I would having to redo bungee into all these different types of pouches every year because they dry rot or whatnot. I'm not saying that the bungee cord type pouches are bad, like G Code or HSGI. They're actually really, really great. This is just my trade-off. This is what I've decided for my climate, for my particular usage, what I'm comfortable with, and how much maintenance I want to deal with. So that's why I chose these. Okay. Now notice that first thing you notice here probably is that my magazines, my rifle mags are oriented to the rear, and my pistol mags are oriented to the front. All right, so that's because I choose to utilize a beer can grip when I do my mag changes. So basically, once I come in, I slide over the top of the mags, the pistol mags, and then stop at the rifle mag, and then this is how I grab my rifle mag here. Now, another way to do it, if you were to stay consistent, is to do it like this. Now, you would come in here like this, just like you would a pistol mag. However, you need to work your finger into the front. Now, I don't like it like that because if you notice, the curvature of the rifle mag actually goes into the rear side of the pistol mag. So it kind of closes off that distance, and I can't get my hand in there as good. So again, the other methodology is a beer can grip. Now you can see it kind of opens this up into a wedge, and I can slide my hand in there and create a little bit better grip coming out of the belt to finish my mag change. Cool. All right, same thing here with the pistol mags. This is the Kiwi from S-Tac as well. It's the exact same setup, just a smaller version of it, and these are just designed for any kind of double stack mag. These are Glock 19 mags here, and again, same exact design. Now, the backside of the Kiwi has there's a couple options. I chose to go with the plastic belt loops from S-Tac. They fit perfectly into the backside molly system of the pouches, but the only modification I needed to make on them was to add Velcro on here. The thickness of the belt loops themselves is a fair amount, so as you start putting a row of pouches here, it's going to prevent the Velcro from the belt to actually make contact with the inner belt, and I'll go over that here in a minute. But because of that, because there's no contact with the inner belt here, then this entire section basically slides up and down, and it's not connected to me, right? So I needed to put Velcro strips right here, any Velcro from 3M or whatever, grocery store, doesn't matter. Okay, and then you can actually see that I did the exact same thing here with the HTC clip as well, because there's a fair amount of elevation here. Then I added some Velcro so I can, the belt is actually secured to me. And then wherever it can, the inner belt does touch the bigger sections here of the belt. Okay. Now the inner belt that I'm referring to is this. This is just I think this one's from Ronin as well. I think it came from this. So this is what you would loop into your belt loops, into your pants. All right, and this is all you actually wear. So that allows you to build out your belt setup. You don't have to weave everything through your belt loops all the time. Okay, and we can just cinch that down inside your pants. Cinch that down nice and tight. Okay, and then this belt would go over the top of that, like that. Right, and everything cinches down. Now, one thing, one mistake I see when people are using inner and outer belts is that they don't cinch the inner belt down enough. Right, the tightness or the tension of the belt, of the outer belt, or the way it rides, I should say, is not necessarily determined by the outer belt. It's with the inner belt. So the outer belt can only cinch down and stay nice and snug on your body as much as your inner belt allows it to. So add a little bit extra tension into the inner belt, and then get this thing nice and snug around the outside. If you don't do that, then what happens is you start to see a little bit of binding as you start cinching it down, and you're just not going to get that comfort fit, and it's not gonna sit right on your body. All right, the last piece here, as far as kit goes, is the base pads. So there's nothing wrong with stock magazines, not at all. However, I like to plus up my rounds, so I utilize the Taran Tactical Firepower base pads, right? I believe that's what it's called. Taran Tactical Innovations Firepower base pads. So these are the +5s for a Glock 19 right here, and then this is the +5 for the Magpul AR M3 mags, or I think they fit the M2s and the M3s actually. Okay, so these hold, this mag would hold 35, and then 20. So just by adding some base pads, I can actually increase my round count without actually having to add more pouches and things like that, where, you know, I don't necessarily have that much more real estate to work from. There are other options for additional gear or additional ammo, things like that. For instance, double pouches that kind of come out here like this. However, I'm a big fan of streamline, so I don't like anything to be off my body any more than, you know, than it needs to be. So I rather figure out something else or a different method than to actually have a double pouch this way. Now, if you've got other equipment that you're dealing with, you know, maybe some comms gear or whatever, right? You've got some other stuff that you got to deal with, and you really just don't have the real estate to do something like this, where I've got 3 pistols and one rifle. Well, then maybe you're just kind of stuck on that, right? Maybe you do have to actually do a double. So S-Tac does have those types of options, and I know other brands do as well, where they'll have, like, you know, the pistol, you can put the pistol mag on the outside of the rifle mag and things like that. Okay, so to each their own. This is just what I like. Something that I am kind of wanting to mess around with, and I may try to see if I can have a custom pouch made, is I want to have more like a speed mag or an emergency mag. So what I'm looking to do is kind of mess around and test this on the range as well and see if that works. But basically, if my pistol is up here, right, and instead of going all the way from up here to reach these magazines here, I have some real estate here that doesn't do anything. You can add maybe a tourniquet on the side if that's what your preference is, or something like that. What I'm looking to do is actually add a rifle mag here like this. Now it's hard to see here because it's not on my body, but I'm looking to add a rifle mag here like this. It will, I think it might push out a little bit, so I'm gonna mess around with it and see how that plays out. But with my reload, all I'm gonna have to do is come down, straight down my center line, grab this mag in a beer can orientation, or if you prefer, I can do it like this. But I prefer the beer can orientation, and then come up and finish my reload. So again, I'm just eliminating, I don't know, tenths of a second here. And I also get an extra mag as well. So just another option that I'm messing around with. But I'm always messing around with something just to see if I can, you know, make something better. So don't settle. Don't settle on what you've already decided. There may be a better way, and there's only one way to find out. You might have to buy that pouch. You might have to try something else. Watch a video on it, or just, you know, borrow it from a friend or something like that. But regardless, don't settle on what your kit is. Always be looking to improve it at all times. And there's also new kit that's always coming out too. So you got to keep active and stay in touch with what's going on in the industry. And there's always a new design coming out, and it could be a game changer. You just never know. So I'm Fred Ruiz with Tactical Hyve. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the range.